what is the skill? It's the behavior we do most often. Well, I personally believe it's thinking. Almost everything we do, we have to think in order to do it. I'm standing here. I have to think in order to do that. I can think, well, do I need to be standing here? What do I do with my hands, speaking? Everything we do needs cognition, needs thinking. But then why is it that when you ask people, do you feel like you're good at thinking? Lots of them will say, nah, don't really think so. Not really. How can that be? How can it be that someone that has spent thousands of hours doing something is not yet a master, or at least considers themselves to be extremely good at that thing? That is the question I will seek to answer today, and the explanation, I will expand on it, and we're going to cover what's all behind it. Hi, I'm Sam Pleger, a holistic performance psychologist with the mission of empowering you with the knowledge and tools necessary to consistently achieve your goals. And I love that you're taking time today to explore deliberate practice with me. Because that is the explanation. Deliberate practice is what separates the people that have become really good at that skill from the people that don't really think they're particularly good at that skill. Now, what's deliberate practice? In order to explain that, I want to take you back to an experience that I've had in my childhood, and that is playing soccer, because that is where deliberate practice comes in. When I was small, just like many other boys, I really wanted to play soccer, and I did. And at first, I did play a lot of soccer. But then, as time continued, I started to play less and less soccer in the trainings and did more other things. Running around, practicing shooting, practicing passing, practicing teamwork, dribbling, everything. And then maybe at the end, some actual matches, what I came there for. That is deliberate practice. So let's put some words into it. Deliberate practice is not doing the actual thing, playing soccer, but rather training the components of it, or the subdomains, sub-skills, whatever you want to call them. Now, why is that important? How is it that you train something and you're not really as good as the person who doesn't really train the thing, but rather the components of it? Well, if you think about how learning happens, in the sense of football maybe, if you just play the game, by repeating the same moves, the same ideas, the same strategies over and over, you become really good at those moves. But say you have a couple blind spots. Maybe you're not really passing that well. Maybe at first it was easier to pass a certain way, but actually it would be way better if you would pass another way. If you just keep on playing, you will never really be able to improve those behaviors. Instead, they will become more and more ingrained. Instead, the other person who looks at their game and realizes, oh, if I'm usually passing with my right foot and then I'm running on the left side, I can't really pass with my right foot. That doesn't really work. So maybe I should learn how to pass with my left foot and then train specifically running towards the left, passing with my left foot. All of a sudden, you have one player, when they go into the left, they don't really pass well, and the other person who passes very well. That's an advantage, and there you have the difference. And you can extrapolate that to almost everything in life, including talking, including thinking, everything. So now that we talked about what deliberate practice is and why it's better than just regular practice, let's tie this into a frame, something you can actually use and apply. Now it all starts with having a goal, a bigger goal. So let's stick with the example of football. Your bigger goal is to become better at football. That's great. Take a moment and create components to that. What does it mean to be good at football? Or what does it mean for you to be good at football? Because it doesn't need to be objective, could also be subjective. Many things are subjective. So maybe for you, it would be, well, you want to be able to run a lot, because you need to be running a whole lot. You want to be able to pass, and then also be aware of all the players, both the players on your team and on the enemy team. Okay. Now you have all of these skills on the table. Look at these skills and think about, well, can I train all of them? Do I want to train all of them, or do I want to pick one or a couple? If you gotta pick a couple, pick the ones that you think are holding you back the most. Or, a little trick from the psychologist, resistance, I have a video on that if you want to check it out. Resistance is usually trying to keep you away from where you have the most to gain. Not just subjectively, but objectively. So if you want to challenge yourself, maybe pick the one that you don't really want to do. So if you're thinking, well, I really love running, I really love passing and shooting and all of that, but I don't really like being aware, I hate that, maybe go in there. So you've picked your component, you've picked your sub-goal. Make it an actual goal. So you want to become aware. What does that mean? You want to become aware of all of your players and all of the enemy players at all times. Okay. What's something to like an achievable goal, because all players may be a bit too much? Maybe you get an error margin of, say, 2 or 3 players. So gotta know where every player is except for 2 or 3. Sure. Let's stick with that for now. Then you have a specific goal. Now you need to know how to measure that. Well, maybe, just as an idea, you could be playing the game, someone could clap all of a sudden. You stay still, close your eyes. Someone takes a photo of the field, so the other people can keep on playing. And take out a piece of paper or a phone, tablet, whatever, and you just mark the players where you think they are. Cool. After the training, you do that a couple times, you can check your accuracy, and you have a way to measure that. Now, how do you incorporate deliberate practice into this? Again, you could think, well, we already have a sub-skill, so you just do that. You play a regular match and someone claps and you check. But most of the time, it makes sense to start with something that is more achievable. And if you were to ask me to do that, I could never do that. So I would need to start with maybe 3 players, 4 players, because it's very confusing. And also maybe make it easy on yourself by reducing the intensity. Because if you're really working hard, it's a lot harder to access cognitive resources. All right, so you start with 3, you continue that until you feel comfortable, until you can achieve accuracy with 3 players, and then you move it up bit by bit. And all of a sudden, before you know it, after quite a bit of deliberate practice, you have achieved this sub-goal. Now, once that sub-goal is complete, next step is just to look at your bigger goal, look at your overall goal, and see if you feel like you've properly achieved that. Are you now good at playing football? Or are you still missing something? If the answer is you're still missing something, you go back in, you continue, and you keep on practicing. Now, as a little bonus here, the people that achieve mastery have been doing this for a long, long time. So you might look at them and you might say, well, they're so incredibly good at playing this. Well, that's not what they practiced. They practiced the nitty-gritty details, all of them. How to pace themselves, how to be aware, how to do all the parts of the mechanical skills, everything. It's not that they practiced the thing, but rather the components. That is why it seems impossible. The standard seems impossible, because it is. What's not impossible are the components, training them individually, and then putting them together. So that's how you can use deliberate practice to improve whatever you want to improve. And also, now you know why there is a big difference between people that use deliberate practice and people that don't. That's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.